All rise. The Constitutional Court of Public Opinion is now in session. The Honorable Judge Constance presiding. Today's case, the people of the United States versus a promise.
Did he say they're putting a promise on trial?
I think so.
I've seen crazier. Last week I sued my tractor.
Be seated. I have read the briefs. I have reviewed the exhibits. I have also read the tweets, which I did not ask for and cannot unread. This court will proceed with order, with facts, and with the United States Constitution, which, unlike certain promises, is in writing. Counselors, opening statements, prosecution first.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, thank you for your time. On the campaign trail, a promise was made. Simple, clear, repeated, no new wars.
Order in this court. Bailiff, restore order immediately. I understand the people are upset, but this is why we are here, to resolve the issue. However, we cannot proceed with people shouting.
No endless conflicts. No more American blood spilled in the Middle East. The crowds cheered. The promise was kept for a while. Then, in June of 2025, the United States military struck Iran. Now, we are not here today to debate whether the strike was effective. We are not here to debate whether Iran is a good actor on the world stage. Spoiler, they are not. We are here to ask three questions that the Constitution demands we ask. 1. Was Congress consulted before the strike? 2. Was the threat to the United States imminent and proven? 3. Were the American people told the truth before, during, or after? The answer to all three questions, members of the jury, is no. And when the answer to all three is no, that is not a technicality. That is not a procedural hiccup. That is a promise broken and a Constitution bypassed. The evidence will show this. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a day to be alive in the greatest nation on earth. My colleague across the aisle, fine person, excellent briefcase, wants you to focus on process, on paperwork, on procedure. But let me ask you something. If your house is on fire, do you stop to fill out a permit before you call the fire department?
Well, actually, in my county.
Mr. Juror, not yet.
The point is, threats don't wait for paperwork. The President of the United States received intelligence. He made a decision. He protected this country. And yes, maybe the communication wasn't perfect. Maybe Congress found out from CNN. But the mission was a success. Iran's nuclear capabilities were set back. American lives were protected. My client, the decision kept you safe. Was the promise bent? Perhaps. But a bent promise is better than a broken country.
The prosecution introduces Exhibit A, the promise. Multiple instances, multiple years, multiple crowds.
No further questions on Exhibit A. It speaks for itself. Now, the War Powers Resolution 1973, passed by Congress to prevent exactly this scenario.
It's still going.
We get the point, Clyde.
The law is simple. Before committing U.S. forces to hostilities, consult Congress. If action is taken without a declaration of war, notify Congress within 48 hours. Congress then has 60 days to authorize or end the engagement. Members of the jury, Congress was not consulted before the strike. They were not meaningfully briefed after. Some learned about it the same way you did, on their phones, at breakfast. That is not a technicality. That is the entire point of Article 1 of the Constitution. That is the system working, or in this case, not working. Now here's where it gets interesting. The defense will tell you, and has already told you, that there was intelligence, that the threat was real, that the president saw something we didn't see. Fair enough. Let's test that. If the intelligence was real, if it showed an imminent threat to American lives, do you know who would have been the president's greatest ally? Congress. Because no senator, no representative, not one elected official in this country can go home and explain to their voters why they voted against protecting American lives from a proven imminent threat. If the evidence was strong, Congress was not an obstacle. Congress was a guaranteed win. So why bypass them? You bypass Congress when the evidence can't survive Congress.
Does the defense wish to call any witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls Lawrence Mitchell, former Deputy Director of National Intelligence.
Mr. Mitchell, please state your name and title for the record.
Lawrence Mitchell, former Deputy Director of National Intelligence.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Mr. Bradley, you may proceed.
Mr. Mitchell, Can you tell the jury about the intelligence situation that led to the president's decision?
The president acted decisively in the face of a credible and significant threat to regional stability and American strategic interests.
Can you describe the threat?
The threat was significant.
Can you be more specific?
The specific details are classified for national security reasons.
But the threat was real.
The threat was real and significant, and the president acted decisively.
Cross-examination, Your Honor.
Proceed.
Did Iran have a nuclear weapon at the time of the strike?
Iran was pursuing nuclear capabilities,
Did they have a weapon?
not at that specific moment in time.
Did Iran have a missile capable of reaching the continental United States?
Iran has significant missile capabilities,
Capable of reaching us, yes or no?
not at that specific range, no.
Was there a specific, credible, documented plan by Iran to strike the United States in the days or weeks before the attack?
The intelligence picture was complex.
Yes or no? No further questions.
Members of the jury, I want to be honest with you. The communication was not perfect. I will grant my colleague that. Congress could have been briefed faster. The public could have been told more. But we live in a dangerous world. The president sees intelligence you and I do not see. He carries a burden that would break most people. And sometimes, a decision has to be made before the paperwork catches up. The question is not whether the process was flawless. The question is whether America is safer today than it was before the strike. I believe it is, I believe the president believed it was, and I believe history will bear that out. Thank you.
My colleague just made the best possible case for what happened, and I want to acknowledge that because it deserves to be acknowledged. Yes, the world is dangerous. Yes, presidents carry enormous burdens. Yes, there are things they know that we don't. All of that is true. And none of it justifies what happened here. Because here is what the framers of this Constitution understood. And they understood it because they had just lived through it. The most dangerous person in any republic is not the enemy at the gate. It is the leader who decides alone that the emergency is too important for the rules. The War Powers Act exists not because Congress doesn't trust presidents. It exists because the founders didn't trust anyone. That's what checks and balances means. You heard the witness today. No nuclear weapon, no missile that reaches us, no documented imminent plan to strike. You heard the logic. If the evidence was strong, Congress was the president's ally, not his enemy. The bypass tells us what the evidence couldn't, and you heard the silence. The weeks of no explanation, no address to the nation, no here is why this had to happen, just action and then spin. A promise was made to the American people, not a complicated promise, not a nuanced promise, no new wars. Those people did not come here to disrupt this court. They came here because they were promised something, and they want to know where that promise lies. They came here because they were promised something, and they want to know where that promise went. And while we're asking where the promise went, let's ask a question. The defense did not answer today. If this war is making America safe, why are Americans paying $4, $5, $6 a gallon at the pump? The Strait of Hormuz, one of the most critical oil choke points on the planet, has been disrupted by this conflict. Supply chains are strained, energy prices are up. Everyday Americans feel it every single time they fill their tank. And now, the very administration that said it struck first to protect America is on the phone with foreign governments, asking them to intervene, asking them to help reopen the strait. So let me make sure I understand the argument. We struck first to make America safe, but now we need other countries to fix what the strike broke. And while we wait, Americans are emptying their pockets at every gas station in this country. That is not security. That is a consequence. And consequences belong to the people who made the decision, not to the people who were never asked. The Constitution asks one thing of its leaders: tell us the truth, follow the process, and let us decide together. That did not happen. The evidence doesn't add up. The process was bypassed. The promise was broken. The Constitution deserves the same standard of proof we give any serious accusation. I trust you to apply that standard. Thank you.
Has the jury reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor. On the question of whether the constitutional process was followed, we find it was not. On the question of whether the intelligence justified bypassing Congress, we find the evidence presented does not meet that bar. On the question of whether the American people were told the truth in a timely and honest manner, we find they were not. We also want to say for the record that this isn't about whether we like the president or don't like the president. It's about whether the rules apply to everyone. We think they should.
The verdict is recorded. The Constitution is not a document you invoke when it's convenient and ignore when it's not. It is the agreement we made with each other. This court is adjourned.